How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, September 13th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do a GOAT profile on Thomas Müller, the starting center attacking mid for Germany and the most decorated German soccer player ever, is turning 32 today, which is surprisingly young for the most decorated soccer player ever, but once you understand the context of how he became the most decorated soccer player ever to be born in the nation of Germany, then you really get a sense to understand where a lot of respect in the world of soccer comes to him from. Of course, the way I would describe his game is that it's really all in his nickname. So his nickname is the Raumdeuter. If you translate that from German into English, Raum basically means space. And then Deuter means interpret. So what a lot of what his role is at Bayern Munich is he's kind of a free roaming center attacking mid that usually uses empty space to his advantage. He, of course, he's able to interpret spaces, empty spaces in between defenders. One of the best passers you'll ever see. He scores He scores like some of the best forwards in the world because he is one of the best forwards in the world. And almost every single time that his number is called, he's always asked to deliver, and he usually always delivers. The fact that he's been able to do so at such a pace, and he hasn't been mentioned alongside the greats such as Ronaldo or Messi, or even players on his own team like Lewandowski and Neuer, I think it's criminal. So just give a little bit of background of who Thomas Müller is. He was originally born in Oberbayern, which is northern Bayern, because Bayern is the Bavarian region in the southeast region of Germany. So he's kind of from the area. He would eventually find his way on the Bayern Munich youth team as young as 12 years old. He would eventually he would play for the Bayern Munich youth organization from 2000 to 2008. He was finally called up to play for Bayern Munich 2, and he was officially called up to actually play with the Bayern team officially in the 2008-2009-ish season. I'm just going to go and start with his age 18 season in 2008-2009. In that season, Thomas Müller would only play 4 games and only 31 total minutes for a Bayern Munich side that would end up finishing runners-up in the Bundesliga for the season. They would lose in the quarterfinal round of the DFB Pokal, and they ended up losing in the quarterfinal round of Champions League. But of course, this was his first time really kind of making an appearance and that's where you'd see players like Musiala or some of the players for Bayern Munich that are just really, really young, that are just getting minutes in. Of course, playing under some of the best players that Germany has ever seen. I mean, it's very tough for 18-year-olds to really break it onto the scene, which also is kind of the reason I give Jamal Musiala a lot of credit. But going back into what Müller did, going into Müller's actual full season with Bayern Munich, his first full one in 2009-2010 in his age 19 season. He would find himself starting 29 of the 34 games he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would eventually go on to win the Bundesliga and the Pokal. They would go on to finish runners-up in the Champions League in 2009-2010 as they fell short to Inter Milan. But of course, that was Müller's very first season there. In the Bundesliga season, he had 13 goals and 7 assists. The fact that he was able to do all that much, I guess he was entering his age 20 season because he did turn 20 in that season. But the fact that he was only 20 years old getting double-digit goals, not to mention 5 assists in the Bundesliga itself. He would also go on to add in 2 goals and 3 assists in the 12 Champions League matches he played. In the 6 DFB Pokal matches he played, he had 4 goals of his own. Following that season in which he would establish himself as one of Bayern Munich's go-to starters, he would get promoted to the German national team and represent his team at the FIFA World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. When he was playing in 2010, he was 20 years old. And as a 20-year-old, in the 6 matches he played, he ended up with 5 goals and 3 assists, winning the Golden Boot, as Germany would go on to finish as the third place team in the entire tournament. But looking at where he scored in the group stage, he was able to score his first goal versus Australia in the first matchup. In his second match, his second goal will come in the round of 16 as he scored two, or his second and third as he scored two against England to advance to the quarterfinals. Then he would go on and score the first goal that Germany would score against Argentina in the quarterfinals. And his last goal of the tournament would come in the third place playoff as he helped Germany get their win against Uruguay to, of course, get that medal. Because he and four other players finished with 5 goals in the tournament, and he had the most assists out of all of them. He was given the golden ball of the tournament at only 20 years old. That's how young people playing in the Olympics are. That's how young they are when they're playing in the Olympics, let alone the fact that he was doing this in the 2010 World Cup. He was virtually setting himself up for just all the German fame that would come after that. Following his World Cup debut, where he introduced himself to the world as Thomas Muller, he would go on to play his age 2021 season he would play a second season with Bayern Munich in 2010-2011. In this season, he will go on to start 32 of the 34 games he'd play in a season where Bayern Munich will go on to finish this season with the third best record in the Bundesliga. They would finish as semifinalists or in the semifinal round of the DFB Pokal, and they lost in the round of 16 of Champions League. This is the first year where Mario Gomez was the leading scorer. In this season itself, Thomas Muller would finish with 12 goals and 11 assists, the first time he'd ever finished with double-digit assists, and he did it did it in a season where he had double-digit goals, which is a very tough feat to do. In addition to that, in the Pokal, in the 5 games he played, he had 3 goals, and then right before they got knocked out of the Champions League, he had 3 goals and 3 assists right after they were knocked out following the first knockout stages of the tournament. Following the 2010-2011 season, he would come back to Bayern for his third full season in 2011-2012 as he was turning 22. He would go on to start 33 of the 34 matches he would play for a Bayern Munich team that would finish as runners-up in the league to Borussia Dortmund. This would be the last time in which Bayern Munich has not won, or I guess this would be the year before Bayern Munich started its 9-year streak of winning the Bundesliga. But they would also finish as the runners-up in the DFB Pokal, and they finished as the runners-up in the Champions League as well. And this would be the last season in which the Bundesliga was run by Dortmund with Robert Lewandowski. In Muller's third season with Bayern, he'd finish with 7 goals and 8 assists, the first time he'd ever finished with more assists than goals in a season, and this is while he played the full season. In the DFB Pokal season that would end up seeing Bayern Munich finish as runners-up, he would finish with 2 goals in the 5 matches there. And in the season where they would go all the way to Champions League and fall just short to Chelsea, Thomas Muller would end up with 2 goals and 2 assists in that whole Champions League season. Following the 2011-2012 season, going into his age 22 season, he will go on to represent Germany at the Euros in 2012. After placing out of the Euros, Germany would end up, like I said, they would end up beating Portugal, Denmark, and Netherlands to make it out. In the quarterfinals, they would end up beating Greece 5-2. And then in the semifinals, they'd fall just short to Italy, as Italy would go on and get knocked out by Spain. But just to show how close Germany was, they did get knocked out of the semifinals. Following the 2012 Euros tournament, he would go back to Bayern for his 4th full season there. In 2012-2013, the season in which he turned 23, he would go on to start 25 of the 28 matchups he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would win the Bundesliga for the first time since 2010, since Thomas Muller's first full season there. They would also go on to win the DFB Pokal that season. But first, looking at what he did, and they would also go on to win the Champions League treble. This is the first time that Bayern Munich was able to win the treble as a team. They actually did so a year ago. But of course, it was eerily reminiscent of this season. This is also the season where this was also one of the seasons where they were able to see Manuel Neuer compete to the best of his abilities as well. In the Bundesliga season, Thomas Muller would go on to finish with 13 goals and 11 assists. His second season in his career in which he's had double-digit goals and assists in the Bundesliga itself. His third season of his first 4 seasons in which he's had double-digit goals, just to say that for the record. That was in the Bundesliga season that he won, so that's another trophy he took home. And the DFB Pokal season, which saw him take home his second DFB Pokal since he had been there. He would go on to finish with a goal and an assist on the season. Not to mention that in Champions League, he will go on to take home. He would add 8 goals and 2 assists, as he would be one of the leading scorers for Champions League in the 2012-2013 season. And of course, following that, like I said, Bayern Munich would go on to win the treble. They would go on to win the UEFA Super Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup. Not to mention that they were winning the the DFB Super Cups up until now. And then just looking at, I guess up until now, they'd only won it in 2010 and 2012 coming into this season. But following the season in which they virtually won everything in that year, he would come back for what would be his 6th season with the Bayern Munich club, his 6th full season. In 2013-14, in his age 23-24 season, he would start 25 of the 31 games that he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would go on to win Bundesliga for the 2nd year in a row. In his 2nd straight Bundesliga title season, Bayern Munich in his 3rd time winning the Bundesliga, in his 3rd Bundesliga title season, he finished with 13 goals and 10 assists, which is the same amount of goals he had last year with 1 less assist. This will be the 4th time in his first 5 years that he would finish with double-digit goals, and the 3rd time he'd done so with double-digit assists, which is such a very tough feat to do, just to kind of really imagine like what it takes to actually do that over the course of a 34-game season. This is a player that's consistently doing that. And of course, riding off all of the momentum that Bayern was able to give Germany following their Bundesliga title. Like I said, they would also go on to win the Pokal, and in the Pokal season, he would finish with 8 goals in the 5 matches he played. He would go on to finish with the Golden Boot and the DFB Pokal for leading all players in scoring. He has never led an entire season in scoring, actually, after that DFB Pokal, so that will go down in the history books for him. 2013-14, Bayern Munich would end up losing in the semifinals of Champions League, as looking out to what happened that season. This would be the season where Real Madrid would start their dynasty, as the next 5 Champions League winners were Spanish, and 4 of those titles were by Real Madrid, just to get a sense. But like I said, Bayern Munich was just right outside of that, and in the Champions League season, he finished with 5 goals and an assist in the 12 matches he played, so yet another season with at least 5 goals in the Champions League, the 2nd year in a row in which he's done so. Following that 2013-2014 season, where Bayern was just 1 round short of making it to the Champions League final following their treble season, Thomas Muller would compete with Germany at the 2014 FIFA World Cup. And long story short, they actually will go on to win the FIFA World Cup. Thomas Muller will get the silver boot for the entire tournament for what he was able to do, especially considering the fact that he was given the golden boot in 2014. He was the 2nd top player, or the 2nd highest goal scorer, which is what got him the silver boot. But of course, when he was called on to help lead his team to victory, help lead Germany to victory, they were able to do so. In group stage, he was able to score a hat trick in the first matchup against Portugal. He scored the first goal in a penalty. He scored his 2nd in the first half, and he finished off his hat trick in the 78th minute to beat Portugal 4-0. In the 3rd group stage matchup against the United States, he would score the only goal for Germany to help them beat the United States. Once they made it past them, they would make it to the round of 16. In the round of 16, Germany would end up beating Algeria 2-1 in extra time, thanks to a goal from Ozil. All 3 of the goals scored were in extra time, and it got them to the quarterfinals. Once they got to the quarterfinals, Germany would end up beating France 1-0 off of Mats Hummels' goal to get them to the semifinals. Once they made it to the semifinals, semifinals, Muller would score the first goal of 7 when Germany would end up destroying the host country Brazil to make it to the final. And once they made it to the final, they would end up beating Argentina 1-0 off Mario Götze's 113th minute goal. Following that, Thomas Muller was able to add yet another trophy to the trophy case, a World Cup. And if you're looking at all the trophies that he was able to amass, I don't think there's a trophy that you could win in German soccer that Thomas Muller hasn't won yet. Now that he had won this, except for the Euros, he hasn't won the Euros. But following this World Cup win, he would come back to Bayern Munich for what would be this would now be his 6th season with the club. In 2014-15, he would start 28 of the 32 games that he would play in a season where Bayern Munich would win its 3rd straight Bundesliga title. This would be the 4th time that he had won in his 6 full seasons with the club. In the 32 matchups he played specifically in the Bundesliga, he would finish with 13 goals and 10 assists. Yet another season in which Thomas Muller was able to finish with 13 goals. The 3rd season in a row he finished with 13 goals, and the 3rd season in a row he finished with at least 10 assists. The 5th time in a row he's had at least double-digit goals, and the 4th time in his career he's had double-digit assists. The fact that he was able to do so, like I said, is just so incredible. Also that season they would lose in the semifinal round of the DFB Pokal. In that season he finished with a goal and an assist. In 2014-15, Bayern Munich would lose in the semifinal round of Champions League. This would be the season that that Barcelona would win Champions League with Messi, Neymar, and Suarez, but showing just how close Thomas Muller and the team got to there. Like I said, Bayern Munich would take home yet another trophy as they continue their Bundesliga dominance, even though they weren't able to win the Pokal and Champions League. Thomas Muller still showing that he's just one of the best in the world with his 7 goals in this 10 matches played. Following that, Thomas Muller would return to Bayern for what would be his 7th year with the club, and is in the season where he started off 25 and turned 26. Or I guess let's call it his age 26 season in 2015-2016. He would start 26 of the 31 games that he would play for a Bayern Munich team that would win the Bundesliga for the 4th straight time. This would be the 5th time that Thomas Muller had won with Bayern. In that season, he would finish with 20 goals and 5 assists. This would be the only time in his career that Muller has put up 20 goals in a Bundesliga season. And of course, the 5 assists. I guess on the flip side of that is tied with the least amount of assists Thomas Muller has ever recorded in a full Bundesliga season to date compared to his age 20 season. And following the 2015-16 season, like I said, Bayern Munich would go on to win the Bundesliga. They would go on to win the DFB Pokal. That would be the 4th time that they have won the Pokal since Thomas Muller had been there. And also, they would in the Pokal, he finished with 4 goals and 3 assists to help Bayern Munich get there. And like I said, finishing just short of the Champions League final, Thomas Muller would finish with 8 goals and 2 assists in the 12 matchups that he played. And following this 2015-16 season, this would go down as Thomas Muller's best scoring season with Germany. He will go on to compete with Germany in the UEFA Euro 2016 tournament. Right out the bat, they would make it out the first round of the table with Poland and Northern Ireland. Once they made it to the knockout stage, Germany would end up beating Slovakia 3-0. Once they made it to the quarterfinals matchup against Italy, they would end up beating Italy as Muller ended up missing his penalty kick to get Germany through. And then once they made it to the semifinals, Antoine Griezmann's brace would end up helping France beat Germany 2-0 so that they could advance to the final where they would lose against Portugal. But of course, following that, Thomas Muller would go into his next season with Bayern, ready to compete and go right back at it. In his age 27 season in 2016-17, he would go on to start 25 of the 29 games he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would go on to win his 5th straight Bundesliga title. And of course, going into this season, Thomas Muller would go on to win his 3rd German Super Cup, because of course going in they had to win that. In this season itself, Muller would finish with only 5 goals on the season, the least amount of goals Muller has ever finished a Bundesliga season with. But he would also finish it with 12 assists. Up until that point, it was the most amount of assists that he has ever put up in a Bundesliga season. And like I said, Bayern would go on to in the Bundesliga, and the German Super Cup would be the only trophies that they would pick up this year. They would lose in the semifinal round of the DFB Pokal. In that round, Muller would finish with 3 assists in the 3 games that he played. In Champions League, Bayern Munich would find themselves losing in the quarterfinals. This would be the year where 2016-17 was the year where Real Madrid would win their 3rd Champions League final in a 3-year stretch. And then within this Champions League season itself, Muller would finish with 3 goals in the 9 matches he played. Following the 2016-17 season, he would come back for his age 28 season, his 9th season with the Bayern Munich club, his 9th full season with the club. In 2017-18, he would go on to start 22 of the 29 games or matches that he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would go on to win its 6th straight Bundesliga title. This would be the 7th that Thomas Muller had won since he had been there. They would go on to finish as the runners-up in the DFB Pokal. But first, looking into that, Muller would finish with 8 goals and 14 assists on the season, more goals and assists than he had the previous season. 14 assists would go on to be his career high at that point. And of course, the 8 assists would continue his drought of seasons in which he didn't score double-digit goals. In the Pokal, in which they finished as runners-up, Muller would finish with 4 goals in the 5 matches that he played. In the Champions League, Bayern Munich would end up losing in the semifinal round. This would be yet another season where this would be the 4th season that Lewandowski was there, by the way. Once they finished in the semifinals, before finishing in the semifinal round, Muller would end up contributing 3 goals and 2 assists in the 10 matches that he played, but they would fall just short. And following that season, he would help Germany compete in the 2018 World Cup, where they wouldn't even make it out of the group stage necessarily. Once they would end up losing to Sweden, Mexico, and South Korea, they would only win 1 game. They lost their first matchup against Mexico. They would end up beating Sweden in their second matchup thanks to one of the wildest goals you'd ever seen from Toni Kroos. And then they would end up losing to South Korea in their final matchup as Son Heung-min would end up with the 96th minute goal that would end up ending it that would end Germany's bid at a repeat World Cup victory. Following that 2018 season, Thomas Muller would enter his age 29 season with Bayern Munich in 2018-2019. In that season, he would go on to start 28 of the 32 matchups he would play for a Bayern Munich side that would win its 7th consecutive Bundesliga title. In that season, he would finish with 6 goals and 9 assists. This would be the first time since 2012 in which he didn't finish with double-digit goals or assists for the season. In the DFB Pokal, the Bayern Munich side would go on to win the tournament. In the season, Thomas Muller would finish with 3 goals and an assist, not to mention that they also won the German Super Cup this season as well. And then in Champions League, Bayern Munich would end up losing in the round of 16 to Liverpool this season, where Liverpool would go on to win the title as a whole. Thomas Muller would end up with 1 assist in the 6 Champions League matches that he played. Following that 2018-19 season, Thomas Muller would rebound and come back for what would be probably his most famous season. Probably his best season to date. In his age 30 season in 2019-2020, of course, in a season that was impacted by COVID, it delayed the end of the season. He would start 26 of the 33 matchups he would play for a Bayern Munich team that would win its 8th consecutive Bundesliga title. They would go on to win the they would go on to win the DFB Pokal for back-to-back seasons. This would be the 6th time that Thomas Müller had won this trophy. And then Bayern Munich would go on to win the treble like they did in 2013 as they won the Champions League as well. Not to mention they won the German Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup, winning as many trophies as you can in a one-year span. In the 1 year that Hansi Flick was the coach before he was named the German national team head coach. In the Bundesliga season in 2019-20, Thomas Müller would finish with 8 goals and 21 assists. That would break the Bundesliga assist record that he would break Kevin De Bruyne's record that he set at Wolfsburg. So, of course, Thomas Müller gets to claim that, or at least his name is in the record books, at least for right now, as he is actively holding the Bundesliga single season assist record that he was able to do and that he was able to accomplish in this 2019-2020 season. In the DFB Pokal, he would finish with 2 goals and 2 assists as Bayern went on to take home the entire thing. And in the UEFA Champions League, he would finish with 4 goals and 2 assists in the 10 matchups he played as Bayern Munich would end up taking on PSG in the final, winning that 1-0 off of a Kingsley Coman goal. And Bayern Munich, like I said, will go on to win its 2nd treble. I think it's the only team to win multiple trebles. And of course, Thomas Müller being a very instrumental part in helping them do that. He did that in a record-breaking season, by the way. And following that season, he would compete with Bayern Munich at the 2020-2021 season. This would be his age 31 season. This would be his 11th full season playing in the Bundesliga. Or this would be his 12th full season playing in the Bundesliga. He would go on to start 31 of the 32 games that he would play in a season where Bayern Munich would go on to finish with the best record in the Bundesliga. They win the Bundesliga title for the 9th year in a row. That is an active streak. They would end up losing in the 2nd round of the DFB Pokal, which is the last time they lost in the 2nd round of the Pokal was 2001. And they would end up losing in the quarterfinal round of the Champions League as they lost to PSG during Robert Lewandowski's injury. In the regular season, Thomas Müller would finish with 11 goals and 19 assists. He would go on to be a part of 30 scoring plays for Bayern Munich. That would be the most he's ever put together, even more than his record-breaking season. He was a part of 29. This season, he was a part of 30. And with 11 goals and 19 assists, this would be the first time since 2015 in which he was able to put up double-digit goals and double-digit assists in the same Bundesliga season. He was also able to score a PK as well for Bayern as well. And then in that season, in the Pokal season in which they lost, he finished with a goal in the 2 matches they played. In the Champions League season, he had 2 goals and an assist right before they were knocked out. And following the season, he was finally re-promoted to the German national team after no longer being on the team after the World Cup. But regardless, they brought him back. He played 4 matchups for Germany as Germany would go on to compete for the 2020 Euros in 2021. They would make it through group stage before they would end up losing 2-0 to England in the round of 16 before England would end up losing in the final to Italy, just to get a sense of how that went. And that currently leads us into the season where Thomas Müller thus far has played. He started all 4 of the matchups he's played for a Bayern Munich side that is sitting 2nd in the Bundesliga. At the moment, they are sitting below Wolfsburg in the table. But of course, Thomas Müller is looking forward to being part of this Bayern Munich side that's going to face off against Barcelona tomorrow in their very first matchup of Champions League. And I think it's very interesting to look at Thomas Müller's career in a nutshell, because he is more than an elite soccer player when you look at what he's done for how long that he's done it. He was regarded as one of the best players in the world at 20 years old when he was given the gold ball in the World Cup. They don't give the gold ball to 20-year-olds. He would go on to he would go on to double that and even probably one-up it by winning and helping Germany win the World Cup while being the 2nd leading scorer in the entire tournament, scoring 5 goals yet again. And not to mention that he holds the Bundesliga records. He is currently an active member. He was an active member of all 9 straight of the Bundesliga titles that they have actively won. And he only turns 32 today. So I think with that said, I think it would be ridiculous to not say that Thomas Muller is one of the greatest soccer players to have ever played in the history of the sport, considering he has more trophies than anyone that has ever been born in Germany has. Germany's the most populous country in all of Europe. And Thomas Muller, congratulations to him for being the type of player that you need to be to win that many trophies that consistently. And not only that, to keep your starting spot on a championship team where the league is changing, you have many different players around you. All that matters is that Thomas Muller has always been a little bit smarter than the pack, just enough to where he could go on and put up double-digit goals or assists in a season. With that said, I first off want to thank the football reference websites, all the FIFA sites, Bayern, the Bundesliga, all that. I want to, of course, thank everybody for listening to all 31 minutes of this piece. And if you ever get a chance, I would recommend watching Thomas Muller, especially while he plays for Bayern Munich. He currently wears number 25 for the Bayern Munich team, and he's back on the national team. So I just think he's an amazing player just to watch because you really get to see him opening up offenses, considering he's not the fastest guy, not the strongest guy. He's probably the smartest guy out there, and it definitely shows. With that said, I hope to talk more about Thomas Muller next year. With that said, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on September 14th for another episode. And hopefully by this time next year, I will do another episode on Thomas Muller as he turns 33 next year. I can't wait to see what he does within this whole year between now and then. Thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you with more after this.